This report I received today is a monumental document in more ways than one. But it is a very, very important piece of America's history, and it will shape America's future in ways that will make us a more honorable, more successful, and more ethical country. Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret, and they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment.
I'm right here.
Listen to me very carefully, okay? In respect to Marcus Olson, be very, very careful about that mind-reading portion. If you have a claim, if you talk, don't be as brave as Marcus Olson was, and be very, very careful what you state. Make sure what you say. Be sure about the stuff you say. Don't go about the stuff, sensation stuff that they say on the internet, because like I said, the people, it's not even self-proclaimed expert, this Mark Olson, okay? The mainstream media selected him as a #1 expert. Be very careful with the stuff like this. Believe me, when they select people like this as an experts, like I said, you don't even have to hear voices. I did not. I never heard any voices. You don't even have to see things that do not exist. I did not. I never did. They will come to pick you up. Okay? They will come to pick you up. You will disappear. The next thing you see, you no longer will be a member of society. And that's pretty much their ultimate goal. Olson talked about that somebody read his mind, his thoughts. This is absolutely paranoia. Do not settle for any of his bullshit. Not even for a second, please. I wouldn't be surprised, in fact, at all, if the same neurosurgeon, the same psychologist, the same psychiatrists were involved in this case, in his case as they were in mine. My case started big time in '98, his in 2005. Sounds like the same person, sounds like the same scenario, same thing, just a different thing. They want Swedish and Norwegian people, they don't want them to look as neo-Nazis. Okay, they want Slavs foremost to look like a neo-Nazi, like a fascist neo-Nazi hater spreader. They want Chinese to look like neo-Nazis. They want Turks to see like neo-Nazis. They want blacks to look like neo-Nazis. They want anything to look as neo-Nazis, so they, the real evil, they can hide behind good. That's all there is to it. That's how American systems, Scandinavian, German, Buckingham Palace, you know, that's basically how they operate.
Hoy, en Desde la Sombra, durante la Guerra Fría, cientos de miles de ciudadanos civiles se convirtieron en sujetos involuntarios de un sinfín de pruebas militares y de investigación de inteligencia. Uno de los programas más infames era Macultra, de control mental, dirigido por la CIA americana. Después de que los horrores de estos programas salieron a la luz, todos ellos fueron cerrados a mediados de 1970, supuestamente cerrados. La ciencia más importante en la actualidad es la ciencia de la mente. Durante las próximas 2 décadas, el impacto de los dispositivos neuronales a escala nano será profundo. La razón por la que mucho más está en juego es que las herramientas más nuevas nos darán nada menos que un control cada vez más preciso sobre el factor más poderoso en nuestra vida, nuestra propia mente. Hoy, en Desde la Sombra, hablaremos con Magnus Olsson, el máximo experto en neurociencia y también una de sus primeras víctimas. Pero primero, salgamos a la calle y preguntemos a la gente su opinión sobre el control mental.
Pues las ciencias neurológicas.
Pues la verdad es que no lo sé, no estoy muy informado del término.
Pues la ciencia de las neuronas.
¿Neurociencia? Pues no tengo mucho conocimiento acerca de ella, lo siento mucho.
Neurociencia, el control mental, implantes cerebrales. Magnus Olsson, bienvenido al programa. ¿Qué es eso?
Bien, todo empezó en los años 60 con el científico español José Delgado, que hizo el famoso experimento del toro, cuando introdujo un implante de electrodos en el cerebro de uno de esos animales. Esto puso furioso al toro, que empezó a atacar. Él se quedó enfrente del toro sin moverse, mientras la bestia corría hacia él. Llevaba un pequeño control remoto, presionó un botón y el toro enseguida se detuvo y se dio la vuelta. La CIA contrató luego a José Delgado. Otro de los pioneros en este aspecto es el Dr. Jacobson, de Noruega, que también fue contratado por la CIA. Ya en esta época, en Noruega, empezaron a realizar experimentos no consensuales. Los neurocientíficos que trabajaban en esto no son figuras públicas. Se trata de una tecnología militar desarrollada desde los años 60 y que ahora ha llegado a la perfección. El producto final es una total telepatía sintética. Es decir, ellos son capaces de leer tus pensamientos. Pueden ver a través de tus ojos y mantener una conversación directa con tus pensamientos.
In my personal opinion, talk like this is just a pure insanity. I'm not going to say that they're not going to get to that stage. Under special circumstances, they might even have that stuff. The point here, however, is something else, okay? They're not capable of this, to perform anything like this to a number of the people. Under special circumstances, if they have that type of technology, possibly they could perform something like this in a special labs. You're going to find out in the continuation, and definitely not too many people, therefore. But I will tell you what this type of technology, you know, rather than technology, this type of talk, like Olson does, Marcus Olson does, is used for. It's used on a large scale to intimidate people. It's used on a large scale to suggest people to broaden ideas, especially on people that are subjected to an MK Ultra, that this type of technology is present everywhere. And you're going to hear also in continuation, he doesn't have a problem to suggest, even there are, I don't know, 100,000 people, I don't know how many people are there who already have this kind of stuff, but they are not aware about what's going on and stuff like this. It's a total insanity. Before we get to all those other issues, let's just first see how this type of technology, if they would have one, probably they will one day, for sure, if they would have one, how this would work. And of course, in continuation, what to do to protect yourself even if this type of technology would circulate around, which it does not, especially not on large scales like that. Maybe in an individual, few individuals, on a small scale, under special circumstances here, but nothing like Marcus Olson is, suggesting and so on. Okay, my friends, I think the most important part, although I might not completely be able to answer this question, what I will do is I will give you some really deep input into this portion of the, I should say, my takeout on this subjects. Okay, I might not be completely capable to answer to you on issues that Marcus Olson have touched, but I will give you my take on this, and I will try to depict you why you too should see these things the way I pursue them as. Okay? And I got a whole variety of issues, believe me, more than what you possibly can imagine in my head when I touch this subject. Let's first see what creates the picture, how our eyes see, or I should say, what really see. How do we see?
First, the cornea, located at the front of the eye. Then, the crystalline lens behind the pupil. Then, the vitreous body in the middle of the eye. Finally, they reach the retina, the eye's photographic plate, stopping at the retinal pigment epithelium, where they set off nerve pulses. These pulses are directed towards the optic nerve, and then the optic pathways, before arriving at the occipital brain where the image is formed.
Right here is an optic nerve, as you see, and this optic nerve goes into a brain. Okay? This optic nerve, however, goes all around vitreous, around the body, around the eye, used actually to collect the information, gather the information, and transfer this information into this portion of the brain, which is called thalamus, like this. So you go through the eye, and it travels right here. Okay? In this area here, in the thalamus, brain separates the incoming information into two parts. It's really, really impressive. One containing colors and details, and the other that contains movements and contrast. It kind of reminds me of Okay, all this information, however, is then sent in the back of the brain, and this is known as a visual cortex. But it's here, I believe, in this visual association area that job of the thalamus, again, the incoming information about colors, details, movements, and contrasts are assembled. I should rather use the word converted into picture, into the present picture that then we is projected to us. It totally reminds me of let's say, video converter, and that's basically this area here that does it for us. And so we see actually from the rear, from the back of the brain, that's the area, actually visual area. Now, there is a news here that was published in 2011. It was in 2011, and it says that Berkeley scientists see movies in the mind, and they had people watch the videos. You can see here, let's say, the YouTube video, and you can see here on the right side, you can see basically what scientists were capable to pull out of, again, this is important, out of this area of the brain by having people basically pull these images out of the memory. Now, memory and present picture, these are two completely different issues, but brain does have capacity of the hard drive. Brain can and does store information. Now, there are many different factors that influence this durability of information in our brain, and it's totally questionable now. It really is questionable whether these scientists who have managed to accomplish, this is actually really unbelievable thing, that they were actually accomplished from the memories, assembled from the memories, thanks to the magnetic resonance. All right, you had subjects, I should say, volunteers, study subjects, basically watching this YouTube videos inside magnetic resonance imaging machine for several hours at a time. The team then used the brain imaging data to develop a computer model that matched features of the videos like color shapes and movements and so on and so on and so on. So we are actually still talking about the programming here that might apply for just what people are talking about YouTube videos. This is very, very limited, far from really advanced, but in the future it could become really a potential. The researchers say the technology could one day used to broadcast imagery scenes that play out inside our minds independent from vision. You see, this is what the scary part to me is. Okay? This, in my view, this actually is more complicated than it would be probably obtaining, having the ability to see actually what currently is inside of your eye, what basically is what we see. Okay? Because I would not want anybody to see through my eyes. I'm just going to put it that way. I don't think so. Okay? For me, privacy is a lot. It's not that I'm selfish or anything like this, but due to stuff they have done to me, and in a way they have done to me, I don't see this as a friendly science. I don't see this in a friendly way. I'm just going to put it this way. If it would have done different, I would have seen it different, but with the stuff they have threatened me, that they have done to me, threaten me even with a lobotomy and place me in a mental hospital and stuff like this. I don't see any of the things like this in a friendly way, and I never ever will. You have, like I said, 50% I have talked about. It's another 50% I did not even talk about, because I don't want to traumatize people that I love, the portion of the population that I just love. That's all I'm going to say. They already have many issues to deal with, and this stuff really doesn't do much other than take hope away from people. So I'm not doing this because I want to take hope away from you, but I'm doing this so I can point out for you how to see things to survive, because much of the stuff here is a philosophy. You got to understand they have their own philosophy, and if you want to survive, you have to develop your own philosophy. And it's this kind of philosophy that's going to be more and more precious in the future as these technologies will advance, and obviously governments, as violent as they are and repressive, authoritarian, they will only increase this way of life. They basically, when abuse to which we witness today is taking place throughout the world, there are other governments, they're simply compelled into the same ways, same issues, if you want to compete with abuser, because somebody is violating rights tremendously, and as I have stated, that somebody obviously is the United States of America. They do not spare lives, not in America and not outside of America, I'm going to tell you this way. And the rest of the world, whether they like it or not, they have to compete with this lunacy. So this could be really beautiful stuff, it could be good, but thanks to America, probably never ever will be. So how much they can actually see, how much these people can actually see what we see, I do not know, but as I stated, there is a good news in respect to that from my point of view, and it quite assures us that they cannot see anything through our eyes, still not, even that they have truly advanced, admirable technologies like that. Before they're going to be able to do something like this, it's going to take time. Before they're going to go to that stage, it's going to take a lot of more time, because this really isn't any easy stuff to come around. And the scientist here states that, okay, it basically says right here, another individual here, Mr. Gallant, says to get a better resolution, as you were able to see, that the resolution was extremely poor. There's nothing really that can make really any conclusions about this stuff here. Quite meaningless so far, but this was in 2011, but then again, it says we need really big computers and stuff like this. Okay. Then there is something that is way more important, way more important for you, for me, for everybody else. If let's just suppose that, let's theoretically suppose that they have this kind of technology. In my opinion, they do not have one. Let's suppose that they actually have something like this. They definitely, I do not believe they, and let's suppose they would have already today something that would give them the ability, to see through our eyes, which they do not have. Absolutely not. Now, when they did conducted MKUltra on me, they have suggested me that in the future they will develop this kind of things. They dreamed about that stuff. They have talked about these things. I'm not going to tell you where, but there was a university, I'm not going to say where, that have conducted experiments on me. Heavy experiments. Have suggested brain implants. They would suggest me how this would be, how people would benefit from this stuff. Let's say I was told how sex, let's say, could become pleasurable, how we could telepathically communicate with our partners, sexual partners, and interchange ideas and how pleasurable this would be and so on. And the funny part about it is that one of the females that was involved in my case, and with whom later on I did have sex, we did have sex. It is true that every time when I was like during the sexual intercourse, let's say, when I was really, really enjoying, and you know, I have my thoughts about her and so on. Maybe I should say arousing me, and this is really personal stuff, but I'm trying to give you an idea. It could be the same thing, let's say, with the car that you drive. Let's say that you are talking to yourself, you know, or something like this. It can be done with the same. It can be done in million instances. I'm just saying what I was told, and how they have later on attempted to pursue me, to get me to see things the way they would want me to see things as. Okay, the truth is that every time I have gotten into that deep mode, I kind of lost myself, that this girl was, and I really tested her big time. She would get like totally aroused, and would, not because I would, I don't know, perform something special on her at that time. This is interesting, but because of the thoughts that, in my opinion, were related to satisfaction, happiness that I have experienced at the time. And it seems to me, no, this is actually not really, it's undeniable. They do have technologies that they can use to measure happiness or dissatisfaction or whatever, you know, stuff like this on people. They do have that. They really have that stuff. You know, when in United States of America, I should rather say Guantanamo, because this is what America is to me. America didn't give me anything. You know, they didn't even pay me a dime, or, you know, have done anything other than perform human experimentations on me. Basically, the only thing I was pretty much same as people in Guantanamo were, and probably still are. They would give me jobs where I would sit in the booth, let's say, and have cameras literally like this in the face, you know, straight into my face. And it was the same thing then would repeat with other employments. In high rises, as a receptionist, you would have the camera like this in the face, that all the residents could watch you whenever you were present there, straight in the face, you know. Pretty insane. I mean, this is what America is. It's a shithole. Okay, the point here is that when you think about, and it takes time, it probably takes time, okay? To me, nobody ever gave me any idea on how to feel about this surveillance and stuff like this. If you go to the internet, Americans, the only thing you see is video surveillance, watching you, they're watching you, but nobody offers any solution. Nobody offers any solution. They only talk about how the air is polluted, water, what they put inside of the chemicals in the water supplies, and how, you know, they poison minds of the children in the schools with you know, all kinds of stuff and so on. What's happening, and it's really beautiful. You know, they eat people, people eat people, and so on. And it's a beautiful place. People go on rampage shooting ongoingly. It wasn't like this before, but, you know, since Bush, since Clinton, McCain's, Biden's, this is how things really are, Obama's and so on. This is pretty much what we have. And Trump, of course. So it helps them to get their economy going. Okay. okay, their economy of hatred and their economy of rightfulness. Because they're righteous, these are righteous people, these are honorable people, they stand for the right things. Apparently serial killers are now a hit. It's a good to go. Hitlers are good. Concentration camps, Mengeles are a new hit. It's a hero. Serial rapists, serial killers, it's the thing in the US. Normal. It's a normal thing. Okay. Nobody ever told me about how to feel about these things when you have these cameras, you know, facing you, literally straight in your eyes. Okay, I'll tell you what. I don't really care if they have these cameras pointing at me 24/7, and it's because if I would care, it's when I get hurt, you know, because of the stuff like this. When you start to care about stuff that should not be there, stuff that is illegal, it's a criminal stuff. I wouldn't say if I was a cashier or something like this, and the camera would be facing, you know, would be facing my hands, you know, the area where the register is. But no, they do it differently. For obvious reasons they do it. Like they say, different strokes for different folks. But more or less, in America, people change jobs. They change jobs. They used to say, this is good, it's good, it's good. It's no good to be on one same job. It's good to change jobs. Well, in America, it's like a procedure. It's like in the military, when you go through certain trainings, those are like jobs that they use to dement, brainwash people and so on issues and how to see things as. Okay, so it's not that you would do something bad, criminal, wrong, or something like this. It's just that governments do that. Okay, you don't worry about stuff that is not your fault. Okay, if you happen to find yourself in circumstances like this, that somebody is watching you, or even that somebody is watching through your eyes. Okay, let's suppose let's go into Marcus Olson's mind, and let's leave ourselves into his mentality, that they comment our thoughts, and they can see through our eyes. What we see is basically, hey, if you're gonna start to think about the stuff like this, just think about that, you know, that somebody actually have an ability, capacity to actually see the stuff that you see, that you're gonna start to think about. This is gonna be really, really disturbing for you. You're never gonna make it. Okay, so this is the stuff you don't want to hurt yourself with. I'll tell you, even if they would have this type of technology and they would put one right in here, some kind of device here that actually they would go and they would, you know, they hype people totally in paranoia under MK Ultra. They tell them all kinds of stuff about the electric outlets, you know, how these things are charging and so on, and transmitting through the satellite antennas and cable TVs and computers and internet and I don't know what else. Okay, this is all, excuse me, bullshit. Live your life. That's all I gotta say. If they keep reminding you, like they did to me, they were reminding me for, I don't know, since '98, they have continually reminded me, and all the way to 2006, and the last person that did this was in 2012, is a Berger here across the street, that how they have implanted this type of electrodes in my head. And he went further and he suggested, Berger suggested, both Bergers, Miroslav and others, they suggested me, they insisted, they have implanted the GPS in my head. And so now they can see everywhere I go and the stuff like this. Listen, if they keep reminding you and telling you the stuff like this, just use the common sense, okay? The common sense is that get the proof, get your head scanned, find out whether you have some kind of device or not, before you're going to make some kind of statements and so on. Now, if you don't have if you don't have the ability to get your head scanned, then you talk about these things. Talk about the job. Talk about your economic situation. Why? What is happening and stuff like this. So people can understand why and this and that. Explain to them what is happening. Obviously, the MRIs and stuff should be taken in consideration under the normal circumstances by any government. Look, they offer help to people with the cancer and so on. I don't see why they would not help people that believe how the implants like this were inserted in them. Okay, when that stuff is happening, they already know why they don't do that kind of stuff. Okay, because they want you to suffer, they want you to live in that world. Avoid that at all costs. If you're gonna start to think stuff like this, that somebody see through your head, that and that actually there is a GPS in your head and things like this, it's really gonna end very badly for you. If I go back here to the neighbor Berger again, from 98 to 2012, that's 14 years. 14 years they have insisted on my having brain implants. 14 years they have insisted on my having GPS implanted in my head. And also radio devices and things like that. 14 years. Numerous occasions they would come in my face and say, you have this kind of implants. 14 years this shit went on. And even when would be completely unreasonable, it would be totally insane and unhealthy to disregard possibility that you actually have this kinds of implants inside of your head. Do nothing else than demand to have your head scanned. Even then, they came to pick me up with the emergency vehicle, with a van, and straight to the mental hospital. You understand that? So if you ever get this thing to happen to you, that they stalk you and they suggest you and they insist you under MK Ultra. Under MK Ultra there was nothing else. They talked to me from 98 to 2006. It was nothing else. It was absolutely nothing else. And you're talking about maybe quarter or third of the time in the US that I have spent in the United States of America. They didn't do nothing else than teach me how I have a brain implants in my head. Okay? So it would be unhealthy to make assumption that you don't have them. And even when you demand to have your head scanned and stuff like this, they come to pick you up with a van, and because this is their ultimate goal, is to basically dissocialize you. It's basically to remove you away from society, to separate you from society, acknowledge you as a mentally ill, and one problem less for them. The rest, Big Pharma takes care. That means that you go on a pills, obligatory pills, whether you like it or not. They throw in those pills. You're gonna have a blood. It's gonna be dripping from your penis. You're not gonna be even able to talk. Your world is gonna get messed up, and you're gonna die you're gonna live a few years more, and that's about it. This is their ultimate goal. That's all there is. Now, there are people that might even have hard feelings about this technology. I heard people having hard feelings about science and so on. Well, here is the thing, okay? Science doesn't need you or me. It's we that need science. So science, this type of technology is whatever the human can take advantage of, I should say governments can take advantage of, it's going to come whether we like it or not. So the key here is to prepare yourself totally, your mentality, adjust your mentality, your way of thinking to what's coming next, because it's unavoidable.
and our facial expressions and our emotional experiences to really experience content in an entirely new way. And what we've created is a brain-computer interface that really transforms the way that humans interact with machines.
The Emotive Epic wireless headset has 16 independent sensors that pick up electrical brain signals on the surface of the scalp.
We identify a signature for a particular thought or a particular emotion, and then in real time we classify those brain patterns.
So when you think it, it happens on the screen.
You think push, the object propels forward.
So now my master's showing me how to pull using that tree.
So when it comes to future game playing, keep an open mind.
We're really only at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's possible.
So will all this innovation in virtual reality gaming spell the end of a good old-fashioned night out at the movies?
So I'll just leave you with, this is what you saw on Marvin was a beta version of the headset. This here is from Inc. magazine, the December issue, which is out now, of the consumer headset, which will be out in several months. Thank you very much.
Excitement versus calmness, immersion, tension, frustration, engagement.
There are these mischievous spirit wisps that instead of pressing a button, I can scare away just by looking fierce. So, and you can notice by the sky color that I enjoy that part.
So when it comes to future game playing, keep an open mind.
And so then there's another technology they have, and that is actually something that nobody talks about. What you see is available on the internet or in the stores, costs $320. I tell you, got little cams, spy cams from China, not much bigger than this, for even $5 and less. So you don't think the police have way more sophisticated technology than this? Nobody is even aware of that stuff, and that is like the leader, the number one that is used in creating people paranoid. Marcus talked about the nanometers. By the way, I'm a mechanical engineering technician. In my life I did work with micrometers, nanometers. I know what that is. I'm not active in that field. But if I would be, I bet I would know way more about it than Marcus Olson does. It's true. This is technology that have advanced itself tremendously a lot. And we talk about the brain implants, but we don't talk about so-called surveillance camera, about the video systems, about Big Brother is watching you. You know, the stuff that you see on the Big Brother, those big-ass cameras that you see around, and even the little gadgets, like little spy devices and stuff like this. They're really small. They are small, like a spy pan or something like this. This is a little tiny little thing. Okay. Professional cameras that governments use. Obviously, whenever they're trying to modify behavior, now we go to behavioralism, in which I do not believe either. This is again another issue. But this is, behavioralism was just a way, it's just used to enforce, to deprive people of the sanity, basically, is what behavioralism is. I do not believe in behavioralism because behavioralism never ever touches people that are above the law. And actually law is used to enforce ethics, principles of the society on us. But law is also used to excuse, elites from criminalities, from the law. So it's used to protect them, basically. Okay, so we go to another area, but what I'm trying to say is that whenever they enforce this type of behavior, modification of the personalities and so on, for which paranoia is extremely important and efficient instrument. It's widely used in the United States of America in the job market. You could drive the car and say something about the boss, fuck him or something. You might just have a conflict that you work, you sit in the car, you drive, and you don't even have a clue they're basically watching you on the cameras, because this is that element that people don't even talk about. And this isn't a paranoia. The sophistication of the surveillance equipment is incredible. This is unbelievable. What police has, what Big Brother has inside of our homes, for which we don't even know about. Believe me, this really is not paranoia. This is real. This is real. They are trying, please, they are trying to decode what we see with our brain and so on. Believe me, they have decoded electronic equipment. Really, they did. This is the easy part. Into nanometers. They have created surveillance systems that can be in front of your nose. You can actually watch into one, you're not going to see one. To that point, to that degree, they did. They really did. Nothing like infrared and stuff like this. They have other technologies. They do. Again, this is something people, they don't talk about. But what in all this? What is all this? What is all this? What kind of impact all this does on you? Two things. In my opinion, they cannot see what we see. In my opinion, they absolutely cannot see what we think. In my opinion, no way they can comment on our thoughts, read our thoughts, and so on. This is a science fiction, a fantasy, which might never ever actually be even possible. I don't believe it would be possible. And fact of the matter is, if this would be possible, I would still disbelieve in one, because then there is that other way, you know, the way to survival that I'm trying to point out. If you would start to believe in things like this, that things like this exist and they control you, you are not going to make it. You're not going to survive. You're just going to become paranoid, and sooner than later what's going to happen is you will fail. Eventually you will start to think if the stuff that you think is the right stuff to think. So therefore you're going to lose your mental freedom. You're going to start to it's just a way, a path to self-destruction. But on an American job market, stuff like this, espionage, industrial espionage, is advanced like nowhere else in the world. It's misused for political purposes to promote certain religious, political views and so on. Fake. Just think about fake, and that's what the United States of America is all about. It's fake as anything possibly can be fake. Fake as boobs on a beautiful woman that make her afterwards ugly because of this boobs. Fake boobs. Fake as fake lips, fake eyes, fake anything that can be fake. Don't worry about cheap Chinese watch that is fake. Worry about the stuff like this. This is the stuff that it's the world that is controlled. They even try to control your sexual orientations. They try to control your sexual preferences through harassments, through intimidations. And if you want to accomplish anything in your life, never mind paranoia. Never mind paranoia. Forget about paranoia. I'm just saying why you should see it my way. If you want to accomplish anything important in your life, you have to view yourself as unrestrained, as an individual, as a free individual. You must not allow anybody to, to restrain you, mentally control you. This is mental control. And so from any point of view, the stuff that Marcus Olson is talking about is extremely negative, definitely totally promoting a paranoia, stuff that will not do any good to you. Regarding sexual orientation and what you do sexuality-wise. Sexuality is extremely important, and definitely when they persecute you, when you become target, this is probably one of the main areas they target. And you know, they give all kinds of opinions. You're gonna get indirect gestures from people. They might actually harass you, intimidate you under MKUltra on how your views should be and so on and this and that. Look, they oftentimes do it because there's like a lot of psychology behind it all. Okay, they want you to, how can I say? It goes beyond divide and conquer game. It goes into area of prohibited and so on, limited, retarded. Yes, when you limit yourself to something, you become retarded. But when you are just open for everything and you know what you want in your life, you know where you want to go, who you are, what you want. It's pretty much anything in the world that you should do to advance yourself toward your cause. So you have to use, you have to live as much as possible normal life like you would under normal circumstances, and you can even go ahead and, since you're isolated like this from society and so on, you can use this as an opportunity to you know, I don't know, in a million ways for whatever purposes that you want to you know, do things this, but don't ever give a damn about what other people have to say, what they think, how you should see things as, because once you're going to start doing that, you're going to deprive yourself. Eventually, you will start doing the stuff that really you shouldn't. And that's what is in their interest. Okay? Don't ever do the stuff it's that I'm not going to say don't ever do the stuff that is in their interest. Just apart, separate, and you know, just do the stuff that you want to do, that makes you happy. Separately from job, from your duties, from the stuff that you will do, complaints and so on, whatever the hell you're going to do. Learn to separate, almost I would say, job from other stuff. But you have to do the stuff that pleasures you, that relaxes you. If it cannot fulfill you, if you're in a bad shape, at least will give you a sense of, you know, proximity to what life should be like. You understand that? Those are things that are very, very important to sanity. And if you want to be effective, you have to utilize, you have to use all this to get ahead. These people are professionals. They are manipulators. They do this for a living. They're not alone. These are universities. These are research centers. It's governments. I wouldn't say it's General Motors. I would say it's General Motors in who knows how many countries that work on issues like this, because everybody wants to manipulate. You know, everybody. This pretty much is what the world is all about. World is about manipulation. The only question is to what degree this manipulation goes. So, my Chinese girlfriend, my ex-Chinese girlfriend used to say, pleasure first, she used to say to me. And she was right. She was right. Make yourself happy, folks. Whatever it that you do out there, and be rational. Think about what you're going to say before you say, rationalize, investigate, then come out and make your statement, accusation. Get proofs, foremost, get proofs for your statements, you know, and still see in a way that is not going to hurt you. Paranoia definitely is not the way to go. I'll tell you this. It's not going to take you anywhere. Internet is flooded with the paranoia. Internet is flooded with sensation. You have, listen, you have Alex Jones that is called conspiracy theorist. He's actually talking a lot of stuff he talks about is real, but it's also a lot of stuff that he talks about is a total bullshit. And the stuff that he is talking about and that is real, and it should not be, is there because the government wants him to talk about this stuff, because they are trying to use his option to promote their vision. And so the stuff that is happening so he can get their attention. And as you know, the guy's a neo-Nazi, fascist, Zionist. In respect to Big Brother is watching me, surveillance, it's a lot of people that is concerned about with their privacy violations and so on. Privacy, there is no privacy. As long as you have not violated the law, or I should say, and as long as you're not into anything illegal, criminal, you got really nothing to worry about, okay? If they're watching you because of the stuff you do, but they don't like the way you think, whatever you do, just keep in mind, as long as you do stuff like this, it's not you who gets violated, who gets fucked, I'm gonna say, and excuse me on my expression. It's them. It's the guy that is watching you. It's the guy, he is the one, he's got issues with you. And on top of that, he compels himself into watching something unpleasant, something what under other circumstances he would not even watch. Okay, so again, he is the one that suffers. Again, it's not you.
Incluso pueden inducir imágenes, películas cortas y secuencias directamente a tu cerebro. La Agencia de Investigación Militar sueca también está involucrada en este desarrollo. Todo eso hizo posible gracias a la nanotecnología. Un nanómetro es una millonésima parte de un milímetro. Es tan minúsculo que solo se le puede ver con un microscopio. Estas máquinas están fabricadas en aproximadamente 50 nanómetros y pueden interactuar a través de la corriente fotónica, pueden hablar y decodificar los neurotransistores en tu cerebro, de modo que pueden comunicarse directamente con la mente.
Social behavior actually is a contagious disease. Believe it or not, we learn from one another. And if we're going to continue to learn the way we learn from YouTube and stuff and things like this, it's gonna turn really bad, I think. I'm not going to say that the stuff cannot be done. It doesn't really matter, because the day when this actually will be done will come. So I'm not here to say that cannot be done or it's not being done and so on. Fact of the matter is, the day when this is going to be done will come. But it's not so easy like the Spanish guy is just translates, and you do it like this, and you do it like that, and that. No es tan fácil. No es tan fácil. Hay que hacer mucho más trabajo. Under ideal circumstances, in a lab, in a special lab, it's basically how I see it, with a special equipment, something that, from what I have seen in 2011, they were not capable to perform anywhere, even near anything that would be satisfactory. But then again, that was in 2011. It's 2018 now,